The light variable winds are still in effect, so if you want to go fishing this weekend, it'd be a good time to head to the surf and wet a line on the beach. Our guides are standing by with the 411 on all you're going to need to know. So get ready, because it's time for the Texas Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
Hello and welcome back to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. We're your hosts, Brie Gabrielle and Captain Rick Murphy, with your weekend reports from all over the state. And this week we're adapting to changing patterns, some weather on the horizon, and our theme of the week, surf fishing. Right, Rick?
You're absolutely right, Brie. And you want to talk about a state that has a lot of surf? Boy, we're talking about miles and miles of beautiful sand. I can't wait to hear how the guys fish the first cut, the second gut. It's just really cool the way they.
Good.
Yeah,
it's going to be good.
The green water has moved in, and they've got a variety of different fish. So I can't wait for our guys to bring us up to speed.
Don't give it away, Rick. All right, well, lucky for us this week, we have our Startron Middle Fresh Region guide joining us in the studio, Matt Loescher, who is over at the workbench with Dave Farrell.
Matt's here.
Having them in
Matt's going to be talking a lot about his own region. He's not talking about surf fishing with us because he's a bass guy.
We don't surf.
We don't surf.
But he does do crappie. I can't wait. We've been talking about crappie for the last couple of days because he's been here fishing with me.
Yep.
And man, I can tell you, I'm really excited to hear what he has to say tonight.
Some good crappie stuff going on. All right, well, let's begin in the lower coast region with Captain Chad Kinney, where fall is showing its colors in the form of surf conditions. So, Chad, take us to the water.
I tell you what, this forecast does look great. We got some good calm seas. I've been saying it for months. September is always my favorite month to get out there, especially with surf fishing in there. It's really good. The Wahoo Classics come up here September 17th is Saturday out of Jim's Pier. We'll be fishing it. We'll be in the weigh-in there. So if you're not fishing, come check out the weigh-in. If not, fish it there, and we'll see you guys also at the weigh-in. But surf fishing, I mean, it's as good as it gets in Texas. We got, from where I'm at in the lower coast, literally we got 100 miles of beachfront that is not ever traveled at all, just besides truck and vehicle. Guys camp out and fish it. So it's really epic, and fall can be completely great, which is starting to go and get those conditions. We're getting some lighter winds, we're getting calmer conditions, water clarity's coming in. We do have a little bit of a cooler water and an undertow there, but it's going to really start taking off here from now through October, probably into November almost, depends on the big cold fronts when they hit. But you can look for surf fishing, you look for redfish, trout, snook, shark, from the beach there. And the bait balls are moving in close from like the second sandbar, third sandbar, like Rick's talking about. Glass minnows are really working, so the birds are going to be on top of those. You can sit there and look at bonita and mackerel. Tarpon are moving in. Saw some big free jumping tarpon today. You can use some saltwater assassin sea shad on the trout and reds. Makes it epic on that for a lighter tackle and getting some good stuff on that. When you get to the bait balls, you can throw some silver spoons. And, of course, any of the Berkeley, they got so many, but Berkeley hard baits will work really good. Working those birds and everything hitting on top. Or a mirror lure Top Dog Junior works really good too there. If we start getting bit off quite a bit, go to a wire leader, but if not, start with your mono and go from there. Like I said, surf fishing is really, really great until that really monster front hits and they start decreasing. So get out there and do it. We got plenty of areas to go and hit it. So I've got a good picture here of a redfish with the beach in the background. This is Charlie Guillen with Boca Chica Beach Legends. These guys fish nothing but surf all the way down by Boca Chica Beach, all the way up, and they catch all these fish we've been talking about. So moving over into the offshore stuff, we're going to talk about that. Red snapper in state water has been really good. And the tarpon is also, as we mentioned, out there around the beachfront. And this time of year, you got everything. Birds moving. You got pelagics, still plenty out there, out in the deeper area, and they're biting until that water cools off and they start moving. So the state water snapper bite, like I said, has been really good. Just done some good numbers, and the size is actually picking up, which I've seen. It's been really good with some fresh bait, but lately we went to some really light tackle, which is a lot more fun. We've used some Penn 3000 authorities. We're spooling it up with some Diamond 30-pound braid. We're putting a 3/4 ounce jig head on it, eagle claw, and we go to a fish bite, pitch it on there. And if not, the other day we kind of ran out of fish bites. I only brought a few bags, and we went to a saltwater assassin on it and dropped it through the water column, and they just smashed it. It's a really good aggressive bite. Lighter tackle makes a great bite. And these fish, just look for them and structure them from about 40 to 90 foot of water. And talking about the surf fishing, like I said, beachfront, which is really now the time to go through the next month or so. and try to get out there. It's great to have some good equipment like the Shallow Sport X3. I run that. It's really a stable platform. The Garmin GPS gives you everything you need to get where you're going, or mark spots or bait balls, but the Rodan trolling motor also keeps you on them, lets you move. You don't have to be as loud on there. You get really quiet and stealth with that Rodan on there. Helps you maneuver through the bait balls, maybe keep in front of the tarpon on there. You can get some live mullet and bump the bottom bump troll, but get the Berkeley hard baits out there and get some surface action going is a lot of fun. And on this tackle, we bump up to at least maybe like a 6,500 pin spin fisher, and we put that with like a Blue Carnage 3 rod. It works great. Spool it up some diamond braid because you're going to be chasing these guys. There's some big ones. There's some 130, 140, 150 plus out there. There's some big time out there, big guys. So we got a picture here of a great picture. We got Mike Quebec has sent this to me, Real Rush Charters on the lower coast here. There's a beautiful tarpon there that they released.
Yes,
Yeah, that is a beautiful fish, man.
Yeah,
Good job
that's
releasing
pretty
those
stuff.
fish,
You can look at the watercolor there and everything. It's just beautiful. So they're out there. Get out there and check it out. So talking to bill fishing, some of the big billfish I caught are this time here between now and October. So we've seen some bigger blues out there, sailfish, some whites out there. It's been pretty good around Colt and Oasis Dome. Bump your tackle up on this stuff definitely to at least a 50 wide or bigger if you want to internationals. Spool it up with some Amoy mono and put your full spread out there. I like really using those Islander rigged with ballyhoo, of course, and troll them at 7.5 to 8 knots. And you definitely keep an eye on your baits, guys. These guys, the big blues, are normally crashing from side to side from the port to starboard. Keep a look down there, slapping it out there. Look for temperature changes on your Garmin, on your GPS, and utilize, which I've been using a bunch this year, is that Sirius XM fish mapping. That really gives you a good spot to start targeting where the billfish are at, where all the weed lines might be, current changes and stuff. You can get a good idea where it's going to go. It helps you out on your Garmin there. And so, like, an excellent time, like I said, from now to October. So put in and get your time out there, get some good shots of some billfish. It's really good. This ain't a huge marlin, but it's a good picture of a close-up blue marlin that was released out of South Padre.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Chad. Way to start us off tonight. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Shallow Sport Boats hotspot from the lower fresh region. He says that inshore, the beachfront and the surf are looking great. The bait balls with the bonitas and the mackerels and some tarpon are showing up. And then offshore, out deeper, the state water snapper has been great with dorados and some billfish out deeper around the Colt and the 1 fathom curve line.
He goes, it's not a huge marlin. Listen, marlin's marlin in my book. Still haven't caught one. I'll take a small one any day. All right, just up the way, we're getting the surf special in the Fish Bites Upper Coast region with Captain Carl Weston. So Carl, talk to us.
Hey guys. Hey, surf fishing is a style of fishing we love here, in the Upper Coast, because like Chad just said, we've got tons, miles and miles and miles of beachfront, and that's just because everything in Texas is big, guys. So surf fishing is big. It's a great way to spend quality time with family, younger children, anyone. If you don't have a boat, have any experience level, this is something that can be made easy and a lot of fun for everybody to, and participate in. And it's very affordable as well. With these higher fuel prices and everything lately, surf fishing may become an option for all of us real soon. Folks, you can paddle out. Big baits, guys are shark fishing from the beach. It's really neat to watch a black drum, redfish, trout. I mean, it's limitless. The amount, Spanish mackerel, king mackerel, surf fishing. I've just been watching a little bit here lately, and guys are just tearing it up. That beautiful water, like we were talking about, is right at the beach. It looks like we're down there fishing with you guys in Florida, and it's usually it's muddy, but it's not right now. So get out there right now, do some beach fishing, get out on the beach. It's beautiful, guys. We have a picture right here of Colton Ashley with a nice drum.
Nice.
And to stay on that same theme, surf fishing for the trout is really good, as is most fish right now. The trout biting the surf has been really good. Bigger fish, beautiful weather. People are making memories out there right now. I'm seeing the pictures all day coming in. The catch and release that everyone had become a part of, because of the freeze, has been positive in the fishery this year, guys. We're just seeing lots of beautiful fish. We know you love to eat them, but releasing has really helped. So natural baits are going to be your best. Shrimp on a popping cork. As I've said all year, you can still stick with that. Bass Assassin or Fish Bites Fight Club has been a close second to live. Great. It's your number one artificial choice, guys. these baits on a 1/4 ounce jig head are really amazing. They just, time after time, are really doing well. We got a picture today of a father and son duo, Mark and Dylan Castor, with a nice spread of fish.
Yep, that's nice. I hope they ate all those guys, bud. All right, let's go offshore, man.
Okay, so let's go offshore, sword fishing. And like they say, when it's hot, it's hot. The swordfish bite has been awesome in the past week. That amazing weather has allowed us to get out. A lot of people were doing overnighters, longer trips. Just been a little chop at night offshore. That morning gray light bite has been amazing for bottom fishing, pelagic, swordfish. Fishing the drop-offs, smaller bonito, glass minnow, and squid are hanging out in the full moon, and you'll see these. And when you got bait like that, you're in the right spot. We set up the other night and was drifting. We had squid around the boat. We had flying fish jumping in the boat. We knew we were in the right spot. So, you turn your underwater lights on. The bait's going to come. R&R Tackle makes some great wind-on leaders for just this. They've got the places, the loops already for your lights, your weights. Everyone rigs different, but you keep, your weight on your rig is what you like to do. Wear your lights, but just get out there and try this. It's really a fun thing to do. Just be careful. These swordfish can be very dangerous. When you get them to the boat, make sure you've got a few guys there. You got the gloves on. If you need a big fish, if you need to harpoon it. Don't take a second. Hit them in the head. Slow them down if you're going to eat them. And we got a picture today of myself, Danny, and Leon with a little fish we decided to keep to eat, and it was beautiful fish.
Nice. All right, bud. Tell us what else you got for us.
Well, tuna this week as well. When it's calm offshore, we're going to run to the floaters. We're going to run out there deeper and catch some beautiful tuna. And the yellow and blackfin and bonito have been, trolling the deep waters behind the shrimp boats. As you're going out far, like we said, the floaters, those fish are just thick. If you can get out overnight, they've been catching, 25 to 75 pound yellowfin very frequently. Look for these bait balls, especially on these floating rigs. You'll see the bait ball on the up current side. And if you look at the Garmin, you can see these big fish right underneath them, right in the middle of them. Just be careful with the current and these big offshore rigs. You don't want to get swept back into it, but you'll see the bait ball. Deploy your baits there, drift back. Chunking is always preferred method on the big rigs. You can troll in the morning and troll the afternoon, but when it gets dark, chunking is the way to go. And these fish will probably be here all fall and into the winter. We have a picture of a good friend of ours, Ben Medina, that caught a really nice yellowfin this weekend. All
right. Thank you, Carl. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the R&R Tackle hotspots from the Upper Coast region. He says inshore fishing from the surf, targeting countless species in the beautiful weather and water. And then offshore, drift with your Rodan trolling motor over the drop-offs in 1,200 feet of water for those swordfish. The Rodan's keeping these guys straight up and down because they're able to keep the boat exactly in the position that they need. And
for
that's
sword
key.
fishing. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yep.
All right, we're seeing what the Upper Fresh region is offering us for the weekend next, but first we're checking in with Dave Farrell over at the Workbench for Rigs and Techniques.
Oh yeah, this is going to be a new Olympic event here.
Looks like you're dancing.
It's beach cart dancing.
Getting dizzy yet?
It's electric.
We'll be back.
It's electric.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. Bahio Sunglasses. Blue light blocking. Radically clear lenses. Garmin. Plot your paradise. Fibertex. Leaders in fiberglass fabrication and repair. Sportsman's Adventures. Fishing for adventure. Berkeley. Your fish, our science. And Skeeter Performance Fishing Boats. Eat, sleep, fish.
Well, it's time for the Rigs and Techniques, so we're here at the Workbench. And Dave, let's talk a little bit about surf fishing tonight.
Well, Texas is great for surf fishing. There's a lot of places to go, a lot of fish to catch. Right now is a good time to be there. Like the boys are saying, late summer, if get a good southeast wind blowing in and it blows all that clear water up on the beach, then you got flounder in there, you've got sea trout in there, you got redfish in there, you got pompanos in there, believe it or not. There's still a bunch of pompanos, and further south you got snook in there as well. So you can catch a lot of different fish, just by showing up and throwing something into the ocean, just
Right.
from the surf. Like we said, it's a good time to go would be to try to find a high tide that corresponds either with the breaking day or dusk. If you get here at dawn or dusk and you've got a high tide at either one of those times, it's really good. A high, and an incoming tide or a high tide is usually a little better, but I've caught fish on dead low tide sometimes. It just depends if you can reach them or not,
Right.
And because they like to come in really close on the high tides and then they back off a little bit on the low tides. But if you've got a really long rod, a 13-foot rod and a big spinning reel, long cast, or one of the Alvies that I have that you can throw 100 yards fairly easy
Right.
with a 4-ounce weight, you can catch fish on all tides, really. Right. And what we're looking for, there's a lot of beach, and not all the beach is the same. It all looks kind of the same, but you're looking for places where the predatory fish will lay up and wait for the bait or whatever's on the bottom rolling along that they want to eat. And those are usually the places where you have a sandbar and then a cut in the sandbar, and you got a lot of water that comes in behind the sandbar, and it needs to find a way to get out, and it'll blow a hole in the sandbar and it heads out really good. You got a nice current going out, and if you can cast on fan cast that sidebar, that big gut that's going out, a couple on each side, maybe one right in the middle, you'll tear them up. You'll catch a lot of fish, because that's where they'll be. They'll try to be in those areas. And you can just, the best thing to do is drive up and down the beach until you
Right.
see those places
Right.
where you see the waves are breaking really hard. And then there's this one area where you see a lot of white foam that's heading out. And that's your gut. That's where you want to.
That's
where you
the
want to try.
exit plan.
Correct.
Got it.
Now, what we're going to be using usually is a rig like this. It's called a pompano rig, but don't let that name fool you because it catches just about everything that fishes in the surf. It's like a double dropper rig. These little floats keep your baits up off the bottom and
Right.
keeps the crabs and whatnot from eating your bait off. It's good to have a shrimp or a clam or something like that with a fish bites on there. A fish bites is a game changer when it comes to fishing in the surf because a lot of the problems you have when you're surf fishing, if you're not using squid, is you're using shrimp or little pieces of fish, and when you are even a crustacean, a crab or something, and if you're using those little baits like that and you're trying to heave it as far as you can heave it, a lot of times your shrimp flies off, your crab flies off. But when you back it with a nice little piece of shrimp,
You put your shrimp on first, sand
shrimp on
flea on
first.
first, whatever it is. That you're
correct,
using.
your piece of crab,
Clam.
your clams, especially a clam, that helps to hold it all on. And this won't come off. Even if your bait flies off, this will stay on there and you'll keep fishing.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about your bait flying off and being out there fishing with no bait. This is another good thing to do. It's called bait elastic. It's a really tiny little elastic stuff, and if you put a shrimp on there or a piece of clam and you just wrap this stuff
Well,
up.
let's show people. We'll just pretend that this
Yeah.
piece of fish bites.
Yeah, just put that fish bites on there and then just go wrap it up. Just wrap it to the hook, and as it goes, it gets tighter, and then you just pop it off like that. Then it'll stay on there pretty
I
good.
got it.
I didn't wrap it enough.
No, of
But if
course,
you-
but it's staying
But
on
if you
there.
keep wrap that really good and tight, it'll stay on there.
Huh.
Even either way. Now, if you're not wanting to use bait, you can use a lot of bucktail jigs and whatnot. Jigs are always great in the surf because they have a lot of weight. You can cast them a long way. You can work them in the zone, in 2-3 feet of water, or I got a little thing, 2-3 feet of water, or even deeper. That's the good thing about those. And if you get there, like I said, at dawn, you can really do damage with topwater plugs.
Something that makes a lot of noise.
Yeah, because the snook and the redfish and the trout love to eat those baits that are right on the surface. So they're moving up and down the beach, and a topwater plug at dawn, you can't beat it.
Right.
Something's going to eat it, no matter what. Even if it's a little Spanish mackerel, something's going to try to eat your big plug.
All right, good job. Did you get rid of that pink eye?
Yeah, man, I'm all good.
Goodness.
I'm all good. I don't even think it was a
TMI
pink
over here,
eye.
gentlemen. Some things you just shouldn't say on TV. All right, in the Upper Fresh region, we're sticking with our theme as much as possible, and with Mike McFarland's help, we're going fishing from the shore. So let's hear what suggestions he has for us.
Hi, Brie.
Hi.
Rick.
Hey, Mike.
So we don't got much ocean or any ocean up here, as you know. So let's say some shore fishing stuff. In the Upper Fresh region, it can be a little challenging due to mostly the limited amount of public land available. Most of our lakes do offer some sort of launch ramp area or park type area where you actually can find some good access to shoreline areas. And from these areas, you can usually find some really good fishing. A largemouth bass, white bass, crappie, and even catfish are very abundant in all of the Upper Fresh lakes. So any one of these species is a possible target from these areas. For the bass and crappie, I tend to look for areas that are going to have some type of cover. You want some bushes, some trees, some stumps, or submerged timber, something in that water that gives them something to relate to. Cast artificial lures like the Texas rig worms, spinners, jigs, maybe even the top water. In the open water areas, you're likely probably going to want to just toss some catfish bait, kick back, relax in a nice chair, and wait for them to bite. We don't have a lot of opportunities for shore fishing here, so the most important thing is do some homework and be sure that you choose an area that is on public land. I don't want you to get in trouble, and trespassing is just what will happen. So find some of those launch ramp areas, and I promise you can find some decent shore fishing in our lakes. Let's tell you, if you don't mind, about our bass fishing up here in the Upper Fresh. It's really good. Lake Tawakoni, the frog and topwater baits, they're really the best. It's extremely shallow water. The backwaters of the pockets and coves are best, but it's an all-day bite. Black frogs, white buzzbaits, and a bone white Berkeley bullet popper. The bullet popper is really a good bait right now in the bone color. You can also fish some docks and shallow timber going along with your soft plastics and creature baits if you're not doing well with the top waters. Possum Kingdom with Pete Hernandez. Again, very good lake. The bass fishing is still excellent with top waters. There's no better way to catch them. The early morning hours are best. Walking baits like the Berkeley Jaywalker, the Excite Heckler, those have really been their best baits. Frog bite also continues to be good. That frog bite is best near the docks and the ledges. Small swim baits are also working. Underspin's working. You really got to look for the fish that are grouped up in the creeks chasing the bait. Afternoon, go to big worms like the Berkeley 10-inch power worm in the plum color or just purple. Fish between the docks 8 to 12 feet, and that's also been a good bite once the morning bite subsides. Lake Athens, bass fishing is good there. Early morning top water, frogs still working. Seeing some offshore schooling fish, so popping top water there. That Berkeley big pop, the bullet pop, is awesome. Underspins near the docks and points, and use some A-rigs as well. That's an Alabama rig. Once the water cools down, that bite will even get better. One more black bass lake, I'm going to tell you about Fork. It's great fishing. We're catching them really good. Water's cooling down. The bass are super shallow, and I mean dirt shallow. In the morning, they're eating top waters. Again, you got that Berkeley bullet pop. You've got the Jaywalker. Your best colors, bone white, ale white. Red clay points are your best. And I'm going to kind of expedite here and just bump to some big fish pictures that we've been catching on Fork because I want to tell you about some crappie too. So here's some beautiful big fish recently on Fork. The lake is fishing great.
They look good, dude.
Wow.
All right, let's talk about crappie.
Crappie with Harry Moon on Lake Fork. The crappie have been about 20 to 25 feet of water in the tops of trees, along the creek channels, deep water humps, tree lines, brush piles. Keep an eye on that depth finder and watch that what depth you need to have that target. Put that jig or that jig tipped with minnows on them. And here's another great day with Terry Moon.
Wow, man, it looks good. All right, what else you got for us this week, bud?
Let's do Tawakoni. Stripers and hybrids on sand bass. Those are all good. Still schooling on the main lake points. Wolf Point, Finger Point, and Sun Point are your best areas. Top waters like the Berkeley Chapo, the full-size Chapo, the Berkeley Jaywalker, 3/8-ounce tail spins with small paddle tail swim baits. Those are also working. And listen, Matt Cartwright's still catching a lot of big fish. We didn't share any picks this week, but that striper bite's still really, really good.
All right, tell us about the catfish.
Catfish on Levon. It's on fire. 10 to 20 feet of water, ledges and flat. You've got a little bit of cut bait, your drum and gizzard shad. If you'll just find the big schools, the big, huge schools, where it blacks out your sonar, you really can't go wrong. The cats will be trailing these schools of the main school of bait, and just bobber your bait off the bottom, a little bobber or Santee rig. It keeps that bait just kind of bouncing off the bottom. You'll see your bobber go under. And occasionally those fish will move out to about 27 feet, but I think 17 to 20 foot is your best bet.
All right, bud, you got it all in. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and get to the hot spots from the Upper Fresh region. My man Mike says Lake Fork continues to be a hot spot in the Upper Fresh region, offering excellent big bass fishing, great crappie, and daily limits of channel cats. The best technique are topwater lures fished in the shallows for bass, minnows, and small jigs for the crappie in the brush piles 18 to 20 feet, and then maybe a tub of bait for those pan-sized catfish in the creeks.
Big bass, big crappie, Upper
Sounds like
Fresh
it's
region.
a big weekend to go fishing.
That's correct. All right, the Startron Middle Fresh and Garmin Middle Coast regions are getting their surf on when we return, so stay hooked. We'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Island Lures, Tournament Tackle. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Sirius XM Marine, weather, fish mapping, entertainment. Shallow Sport, Berkeley, your fish, our science. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Penn, let the battle begin.
Martin here with your Power Pole tip of the week. You know, I travel all over the country fishing the Bassmaster Elite Tour. I'm going to show you a couple tips on some preventative maintenance that'll help you keep your power poles in good working order. All right, guys, so what you're going to do is just remove the shroud, and you can see the nuts and the bolts right here. So you've got the nuts on this side. You're going to want to tighten these up pretty darn tight. This is what keeps the pole from swaying around a lot. Tighten these up really nice and snug. The 5 nuts here and these bolts, you're going to want to tighten those up again snug and even. That's the most important thing. Just check these periodically as you travel up and down the road. Check them when you get to your locations. The other thing, the bolts that are connected to your bracket, to your jack plate, make sure you check those on a regular basis as well. Over time, things do get loose. So guys, that's my tip, 1 minute tip, Power Pole tip of the week. We'll see you.
Thanks, Scott Martin. All right, if you're heading out into the Startron Middle Fresh region water this weekend, you're going to want to listen to Matt Loescher on how to overcome that slow bite. And looky who's right here sitting next to me. It's Matt Loescher. Why don't you go ahead and give us your report?
All right, you got it, Brie. So overall, unfortunately, the bite has been a little bit slow this week, but I believe we're seeing a transition into that fall pattern now. And so, you know, we're going through a little bit of a transition time, but once we get, you know, another week or so of this cooler weather, things are going to really pick up. I look for the bite to be good. You know, Mr. Thurman Selman up there on Richland Chambers, he's kind of at the top end of my region, so he's getting a little bit more of that fall bite already happening. And he says that he's been putting his Garmin Live Scope to work this week, catching fish from the trees. And he says that the Black Forest area has been the place to do that. He's using a shaky head and a drop shot to catch those fish. And the bait on that drop shot is a 3-inch Shad Assassin. So a nice little small Shad Assassin and an albino shad color. Now, he also mentioned that he's been catching a few around the old hog pen area, and he's using a deep diving crankbait for that bite. Now, down here on Toledo Bend, the water temperature has crept on down lately into the lower 80s, and the water level's holding fairly steady, just above the 168 range. I'm seeing more fish in the mid-range depths now, so I'm catching bass as shallow as 6 foot, as deep as 20 foot, and then everything in between. But I'm not seeing as many fish deeper than 20 like I was for the past month or so, so things are definitely changing. The fish are still basically in the same areas, but they've just kind of adjusted their positions a little shallower. So like if they were on an offshore hump, maybe they're off the edge of it, now they're kind of up on top of it. The most consistent bite has been on a Carolina rig this week. You know, it always shines when the bite is a little tough. That slow, dragging presentation with the bait just kind of dangling behind on that long leader is really deadly. It gives it that sort of weightless feel. And a variety of baits have been working on that rig, but the color has been watermelon red on all of them, that real natural color. So just pick your favorite confidence bait and make it watermelon red and you should catch them. Now be patient though when you get out there, and it's kind of more of a relax and drag kind of bite right now. So once you get around them, just be patient, drag that Carolina rig around, and you'll pick one up every now and then. You know, if we get this much cooler weather continues, it's going to be an enjoyable time to be out there, and so it's just going to be a fun time to be out there fishing. Now over at Sam Rayburn, I am hearing a similar story with the tougher bite, unfortunately. The grass is producing some fish though on swim baits early in the mornings, and then some lighter Carolina rigs as the sun comes up, dragging that Carolina rig out of that grass with a lighter weight. That's working best. And then out deep, once again, it's the Carolina rig, slow dragging presentation. They're catching a lot of small fish out deep. The size is kind of tough to find, but the big ones that are being caught are coming mostly from deeper brush. Now switching it over to the hybrids and the white bass, Mr. Thurman, he reports that the white bass on Richland Chambers have been kind of tough to come by lately, but the hybrids are still using the humps and the points, and they're biting pretty well. Now at Toledo Bend, I have caught a few white bass lately while I've been out there looking for black bass. They've been hanging out on the main lake humps in about 20 to 25 feet of water. They've been a little deeper than the largemouth. Catching them on chrome jigging spoons, and you're gonna just wanna look for them streaking on your sonar off the edges of those humps. Now switching last over to the crappie, Mr. Thurman, he reported that he's been seeing the crappie out there on the deep timber and the bridge pilings up on Richland Chambers, much like they are on Toledo Bend and Sam Rayburn. Now on Toledo and Rayburn, both of those lakes, the bite's been kind of slow and steady for a while now. We are still catching them around the timber and the bridge pilings. However, we're seeing some more fish starting to move into that shallower side of things. They're up as shallow as 12 foot in some places, and then all the way out to 30 foot deep as they're going through this transition. Catching them on a light jig, I'm casting it. I'm staying about 10 to 20 feet away from the fish, and just to keep the boat pressure off of them. And the best way to catch them is just to use that really light 32nd ounce jig head. I'm liking that monkey milk color with the chartreuse tail, and that's been the best way to do it. Just be real finessey with it. And finishing out here, I've got a photo of 3 gentlemen with some real nice slabs there that they caught with me recently on those little panfish jigs.
Man, thank you so much for coming. You know, if I come out there and we go crappie fishing, how are you gonna cook those for me?
Oh man, we can fry them up crispy. That's really good.
Stop right there, salt and pepper, and that's all
Done.
man.
There you go.
All a man
Done.
ever
There
needs.
you go.
Thank you so much for
Good
coming,
job,
bud.
Matt.
Good to have you. Good to be here.
We're gonna go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine hotspots from the Middle Fresh region. Our man Matt here and live in the studio says the bass are biting Carolina rigs. If you didn't notice, drop shots are the best in 6 to 20 feet of water. Hybrids and white bass are on the main lake humps out to 25 feet, and the crappie are on the timber and the bridge pilings in 12 to 20 feet, Brie.
All right, well, the surf in the Garmin Middle Coast region is calling our name, and Captain Bank Grimes is revealing our game. So, Bank, give us some weekend motivation.
I'll tell you what, light north winds have been a welcome relief for our Texas heat. It means one thing, the surf is flat, and our surf is absolutely beautiful right now. It looks like a Florida surf. You can in 8 foot of water, you can see the bottom. That doesn't happen very often, but it is right now. This time of year, redfish are really getting that surf, and when they're heading to the ocean to spawn. Trout action has been good on topwaters. It's not unlike you see schools of redfish on the surface as well this time of year in the surf. Kingfish and ling have been coming close to the beach lately. Tarpon action has picked up as well. It's just that time in September when the surf is so good. Every inch of real estate with these fishable tides are good in the surf. It's also good in the bay. Port O'Connor reported trout are good on topwaters. The good stringers coming around the Cedars, City Slickers, on she dogs and Berkeley jaywalkers. The Near My Jetty has been great for trout on live shrimp. Some have waded the backside of the jetty. Those trout have been around Surfside, the Freeport jetty as well on mirror lures and live shrimp. Tides are getting higher in Rockport. It's put trout on the shorelines. Good topwater bite and corky bite on the super flats and Allen's Bite. Tight on the grass. Those trout have been in the grass one day and ambushing in the sand others. West Matagorda Bay has been hot for trout while wading. Good numbers of trout have been found around Palacios on that north end of Tres Palacios Bay and on the backside of Oyster Lake. East Matagorda Bay has been green. September winds and trout have been It's allowed us to get out there in that 5 to 6 foot of water. Just yesterday, man, I had a couple trout to 6 pounds. This morning we caught really, really good trout out there. It's just that time of year. Man, drifting with live shrimp, Bass Assassins has done well. It seems there's been a lot of, the tide has pushed a lot more large Gulf trout in our bay. Spots like Boiler Bow, Don's Pipeline, and Alice have been good. Good numbers are being found along the beach front as well. Right now, September redfish, bull redfish along the beach front and in the surf has been hot. All the jetties are players, as we said before, Surfside, Freeport, Matagorda jetty, holding lots of redfish on cracked blue crab, mullet, and big old fresh table shrimp. Port O'Connor jetty's full of big reds right now in front of Bird Island while they're soaking menhaden and again on those large table shrimp. Waders have found a good redfish in West Matagorda Bay on the south shoreline while tossing Bass Assassins and small topwaters. As always, this time of year we encourage the slot-sized reds. Man, they're running up and down the grass line right now in 2 dozen to 4 dozen spots like Shell Island, Twin Island, Cutoff Flat, Zipper and Bow in Matagorda are good. Mud Lake, Crab Lake are all players. We're waiting on that equinox tide to show up next week, and it's really going to bull up all these tides, and it's going to push a lot of these redfish in the back lake and really get our fall going. Never discount places like Port Aransas Jetty as well. The high tides are going to set that thing off next week as well. Photo there, that's a big old redfish, one of the many we caught the jetty recently. These spawners are heading to the Gulf and to flood the tide with a new crop of fry, and so take care of them and release them if you can. Offshore, our tarpon action continues to be great along the beachfront. Man, there are a lot of tarpon along the beach right now in about 30 foot of water from Matagorda to Port O'Connor. Anglers are drifting menhaden. They're throwing coon pops at them. Large schools have been rolling. Most are spotting rolling fish, getting ahead of them and throwing baits to them. You know, there's been some hookups of 30 or more tarpon a day. Then the next day, you know, you might get 4 or 5. You know how tarpon are? They're just fickle at times. Expect good numbers of tarpon on through October, but man, it has really been encouraging to see how many tarpon we've had along our beachfront right now. So it's kind of hard to beat at this time of year. We've got these light cold fronts coming through. Seas are 1 to 2 foot. Another good week on the Garmin Middle Coast region. Ask you to keep doing what's best for our bays, and please release more than you take, and just have a good time.
All right, Bink, thank you so much. I hear a lot of good things about the trout recovery because you guys are taking the lead and protecting those big spawning fish. Good job on you guys. Middle Coast MirrOlure hotspots, the trout are good, and Islands Bite on MirrOlure Soft Deans and Bass Assassins, and then redfish are good in Oyster Lake on live shrimp, Brie.
Every week he says they release more than you take. And it's helping out.
He sure is.
All right, we've got one last guide sharing his lower fresh region report, but first, Dave is sharing some Taco Marine new products at the workbench. Dave, what do we have over there today? That's
really cool stuff. This is the funnest to me.
The funnest?
Yeah, this is the funnest. The Fathom, you know, I always like reels, rods and reels and whatnot. This is new Penn Fathom.
Ooh.
And what's that cart?
Fathom 2.
You got a go-kart over there too, Dave?
Yeah, that's the KahunaWagons.com. That's a big cart. I don't know if we're going to have time for the cart tonight.
His dancing partner. We'll be back.
We'll see.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Tin Cup Mountain Whiskey. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a MirrOlure. Abu Garcia, Fish to Win. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Fenwick, feel everything. Diamond Fishing Products, our reputation is on the line. R&R Tackle, from our tackle box to yours. And Startron, start, run, and store with Startron.
Well, as you can see, we're here at the workbench. It's time for the Taco Marine Trolling the Edge new products.
Yes, sir.
Dave, let's just get started.
Get started with the Fathom 2 there. That's the Fathom 2 60 NLD 2-speed reel. That's like I said, that's the 60 version. It's a very nice reel, very easy to shift from low to high speed. I think the low is 1.6 and the high is 5.1 to 1, which will get you some line back there. There are a whole new models, new sizing, and there are a couple new features that are models that are optimized just for bill fishing. They have an integrated side plate there that's integrated into the frame that gives it really increased strength and less weight. It's got the pull to turn presets on the side, so you can just set them and forget about them. You got it's full metal body, removable space bar at the top. You can take that whole space bar and the lugs off if you don't want to use those, which I would use. And again, the quick shift 2 and the 5 shielded ball bearings, really nice reel. Duro drag washers and double ratchet dog and a reverse.
And it holds 820 yards of 80-pound braid.
Right.
Or 700 yards of 100-pound braid. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, if you're hitting the bottom of the 700 yards, buddy, I think he's gone. That fish is gone.
That's a good good reel, bud.
Yes, it is. Very nice. Next, we got the Bajío sunglasses, the Temple of Change. They're right here. They're out here.
I got them.
Okay.
These are trying to get you organized over here with logos.
They've teamed up with the Oceanus AC from Quintana Roo, Mexico. It develops projects for conservation of coral reefs. And Piper Nunn is a biologist and an artist who did these little temples here, these little temple paintings on these couple of sunglasses. That every one that they sell, they send $20 to the project there, the Oceanus AC project. That they have the NATO permit tail and the coral reef.
Yeah, so you can see that inside here. This would be the coral reef one.
Yeah,
inside there. That's beautiful.
Very nice.
All right,
quality construction, and all that money will go to transplanting and finding new good coral reefs and growing them and transplanting to other places and making new reefs. So
that's it.
Go to BajíoSunglasses.com to get some of that.
I go there very often.
I bet you do. Next we have the Taco Marine. This is hand this over here to you so you can show it off. The Taco Marine Grand Slam. It's the 170-2. It's a mount for the center rigger mount, is what it is. Really, it goes on your hard top to put your way back line out there. It can also be used for your shade fin, actually.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, your shade fin will go on there as well. So it's it's the best way to put a center rigger out. 3-year limited warranty. That Sure Grip knob, it'll do one grip every 18 degrees. That little thing that you're messing with keeps it from spinning from side to side.
It sure did.
It ain't gonna be moving right now. So
it sure did.
Anyway, this is the industry standard for the center rigger mount, and go to tacomarine.com to get one of those.
Yeah, and it'll certainly go with your shade fin.
Yeah.
We got time for the cart?
We do. Next,
right.
we got. We're going to talk a little bit about the big Kahuna Beach Wagon over there. It's got 11.8-inch balloon tires, 27 by 40-inch frame there.
Come here, Dave, and show us how to drive this thing.
Yeah, this is an electric cart, and it's got a lifetime guarantee. Believe it or not. It'll run without the electrics. You can go back and forth without the electrics.
Yeah.
Or you got a little thing right here. It's got 3 different speeds: 1, 2, 3. If it's on 3, it'll do wheelies. It's got incredible torque. You can load this with 300 pounds, and it'll go for 5 miles before the charge is out. It also has a safety over here, so you have to pull the latch down and hold it down before you hit the thing. Are you going to try to stay in there?
Come on.
All right. Here we go.
Oh, boy, this could be a train wreck.
We got to watch out. We'll get the lights, man.
Oh, no. So back me up, Jack. Can you back me up?
Yeah. Put you in reverse. Look at that.
Oh, sheesh.
So you can go up and down the beach with this thing full of ice and your coolers and whatnot.
350 pounds, did you say?
Yes, up a hill, and they put it up a hill, a wet hill.
I'm going to learn how to drive this before this show's over.
Gotcha. So
I
anyway,
don't trust anybody else to drive.
No, I don't either.
So, where do we go to buy that, Dave?
Yeah, KahunaWagons.com. They've got Hey, look at that. That worked out perfect.
Yeah.
They've got everything, all kinds of different beach carts, but that electric one is
Bree, I could be
really
the
cool.
big kahuna if I was driving that down the beach.
Oh, yes, you could. That is your beach mobile for sure. It's a perfect size. All right, let's check in with our Lower Fresh Region guide, Matt Reed, on Choke Canyon, Falcon, Fayette County, and Somerville, and see what kind of monsters we're reeling in. Go for it, Matt.
All right, let's get this thing rolling. I'm going to start off with a report from Mike Bates on Choke Canyon. The level has continued to rise just a little bit there, which all of South Texas has needed water. Lake's still been producing really well, big numbers and big size. The top water bite in the morning has been awesome. The first 30 minutes with a buzzbait, a frog, a jaywalker, or a popping style top water, any of that is working. After that, you can still catch them if it stays cloudy or a little windy. That bite will extend. When the sun gets up, chatterbaits, spinnerbaits, and swim baits are working best around the outside of the hydrilla in that 3 or 4 foot range. Later in the day, if it gets high sun and calm on you, you need to break out your flipping stick, braided line, and heavy weight and punch the hydrilla, the matted grass. It's not very deep right now, but it needs to be at least 4 feet before you can catch those fish under it, and that's your best way to catch a big one. Falcon Lake, the bass just keep on biting. We've had a great month as far as water down there. I've gained 8 feet of water back this month, which, dang, I'm still 39 feet low, but it's awesome to get 8 feet back. Best patterns continue to be the same. Rock, man-made brush piles are your best deal in that 12 to 20 foot range. Now the brush piles, I'm throwing a big 10-inch Texas rig worm in there. Plum or plum apple are my best colors. I prefer to use 17-pound fluorocarbon with a 3/8 ounce weight. That comes through the brush best and presents it to them to get them to bite it when it's hanging over the limbs in those brush piles. On the rock, I'm catching them best on a football jig and also that same Texas rig setup. Lots of big fish have continued to show up, so you need to get down there and get in on the fun. Greg Boyd sent me a report from Fayette County. Fishing's been good in the shallow water with the days getting a little bit shorter. Lipless cranks and shad-colored swim jigs around the shoreline reeds and vegetations have been your best bet in the morning. The deeper schools are still there, but they're beginning to thin out a little bit. They're in that 14 to 18 foot. The ones that are still out there are biting a drop shot and a shaky head. Green pumpkin plastics are the best colors. Somerville has been a little better. Again, there's a top water bite early in the morning around the rocky banks. The square bills are also working. Later in the day, get your Texas rig and your jigs and throw into the brush piles in that 10 to 15 foot range. That is how you're catching the fish later in the day, and those are usually your best ones. I've got a couple of bass picks here. Got Mike Bates with a Choke Canyon big old fish, and then my ugly mug there with one of my Falcon specials. So,
That's a nice one.
Dude, I got Matt here, and we're gonna call you on the way home. We want to talk some bass. You gonna be up, I hope.
Yeah, it's not quite past my bedtime yet.
All right, tell me about the catfish, Pop.
Oh man, the catfish at Falcon. It's been really good with that rise in water. Ram Reyes says the bigger catfish are in that 10 to 25 foot range on the hard edges of the river. The smaller catfish are up shallow in that 3 to 10 foot range. Stink bait and fresh cut carp have been the best baits for that. Got one of his customers with a picture of a great big old blue cat, and he always has some big old catfish.
Yeah, he sure does. All right, tell us about the alligator gar, bud.
All right, this is a special deal down there when the lake comes up at Falcon. Those giant alligator gar get up in that newly flooded green vegetation. It sets up an amazing bow fishing opportunity. You want to cover a bunch of the shallow vegetation, and you're going to find some giants laying up there in the shallow water. Night or day works fine. Get your bow and arrows ready and hang on. There's a picture of one of those beasts he's got there. I mean, you know, these are fish that weigh between 100 and 300 pounds. So you get prepared to do battle.
So, Matt, have you ever done that?
You know, I've never done it as far as the bow hunting for those giants. I've accidentally hooked them while I was bass fishing, and that's like taking a a BB gun to a bear hunt. Let's just put it that way.
All right, bud. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you in a few minutes. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Fiber Tech hotspots from the Lower Fresh region. He says Fayette County has been fun with the change in the weather. The morning shallow bite is picked up on the rattling baits and swim jigs, and as the day rolls along, move to the deeper points and keep catching them on Drop Shots Carolina rig. It's lots of fun, and it's all right there at our fingertips.
So is bringing a BB gun to a bear hunt.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That sounds like something I would do.
Talk about fun. You guys have been fishing together lately. I'm surprised you're even here with some energy left. You did great.
Well, I think Matt
Almost wore us out.
Yeah, we tried. We had so much fun on the first day that we had to go back the second day, and that's why both of us got a little droopy eyes, because we got up this morning at 4 o'clock so that we could be
bright and
back
early.
in time to do the show.
All right, well, we loved having you here, Matt. You did a great job. Did you have fun?
I loved it. It's always great to be here with you guys.
We love having our captains on set, don't we, Rick? Don't we,
Yes, we
Dave?
do.
Yes, we do.
We don't get enough of these guys.
We really don't. Come back next year, okay?
Will do.
All right.
bud.
Well, thanks for tuning in. Go out there and catch some fish this weekend. And we will see you next week right here on the Texas
What?
Insider.
Fishing report.
Dave, you don't even know me. Bye, everybody.